And we are coming to you on a day that uh, leaves me perplexed as to why we keep going along day after day after day after day. And the Chinese infiltration of America becomes more and more apparent. And we don't even bother asking the pathetic candidate for vice president on the Democratic ticket, Tampon Tim, about his numerous connections with Red China that either lead to the conclusion that he is pretending to be an operative of the Red Chinese government, or he is an operative of the Red Chinese government who has participated in one of the worst and most horrible things that's happened in America, which is teaching our young children to be young, stupid, uneducated little Marxists. And we see the results of that every day in the protests and everything else. The creature of the Communist Teachers Union, Tampon Tim, was recruited by China 30 years ago to go there, paid for by nothing less than Harvard, and taught something they like, because they hired him for a university in Red China, brought him back for 30 years. And tragically, he brought American kids there. Now, I don't know what he's going to tell you he taught them, but he's lying, because he couldn't possibly have taught them anything decent, because the agenda is set by the government of Red China. You don't get to teach what you want in Red China. We're living on Mars. Who does he think we are? Deplorables? The guy had to be very good at teaching what they wanted. Otherwise, they wouldn't have invited him back and paid him 30. What did our government do about it? How did he have a security clearance? What does the FBI know about this? What kind of FBI file does he have? What kind of connections does he have with the Chinese? It's quite obvious that he spreads Chinese propaganda. One man's socialism is another man's neighborliness. China was my best vacation. I made my anniversary, Tiananmen Square, as if it was a great celebration of freedom. It actually was a bunch of goons killing innocent people. He let our city burn when the mayor wanted thousands of National Guard. He sent him 100, and he let his daughter give away their positions before they even got there. And I can go on and on. Want a few more? Here's the part that's really the most disturbing. Not that you have to agree with me that this sounds like he's a Chinese operative. But I'm even willing to take a step back and listen to his answers. The most disturbing of all is there's nobody in this country that'll question him. Aren't the press Americans? But they live in the same country that we do. They have children. There's a country called China that has announced by 2048 wants to take over the world. It is displaying that militaristically by having passed us as the largest navy in the world, and setting up a budget that will pass us as the largest Air Force, Army, and Special Forces. They're developing hypersonic missiles that evade or attempt to evade our missile defense, which we'd never have if it were up to the Democrats, because they ridicule the hell out of Ronald Reagan, who had the guts to do it. But one of the biggest opponents was Bobo Biden. I remember when I used to work with him on the Judiciary Committee talking to him about it. He was one of the few people too stupid to understand it. So he would go with any piece of propaganda. Even then, the communist-influenced Democratic Party would propagate. But it is impossible that we're a functioning country in terms of a press if we go from today to election day, and he's not required to give serious answers to what the hell did he teach in China, who paid him, were there any investigations, show us the investigations. How many times did you go? Let's talk to the children who went? What did they get taught? Explain your comments that appear to be Chinese Chinese propaganda. Or maybe they should just drop him for the ticket. He's also got the biggest outstanding COVID fraud, which we'll tell you about. I mean, a lot of them were stealing money on fraud. You'd be surprised. You think they were just dictators? There's something that goes along with socialist dictators. It's called being crooked. Money always figures into this. Always, always, always. Look at all the money those two Chinese got. A $4 million house, one of those fancy cars. Now, she shows up at the governor's office for 20 years in a whatever the hell she had. What kind of car did she have? Wearing $1 million jewelry, and they're trying to they can't figure out she's being paid by the Chinese Communist government. You see, these idiots, all right, the communists themselves, so they really believe China. Oh, it's just a peaceful rise of China. China's not going to hurt us. Biden during the election last time told us that China was a friend, and you voted for him. No, you didn't. Somebody did after the election. A lot of people voted for him after the election. In fact, Biden got the most votes after an election than any candidate for president. Problem is, that doesn't qualify you to become president, except in a crooked country where a combination of the elite, the media, and the party of slavery took over. The way they've taken over my city. Today, everybody that works for the mayor was subpoenaed by the FBI. Everybody in the city is shocked, except Rudolph W. Giuliani, who knows that the city's crooked, up and down, straight across. It's probably a good assumption that over the last 200 years, if you saw a Democrat mayor at the top of the city, it was crooked. And if you saw a Republican or independent mayor, it was probably going through reform and honest. That is 100% true. And the tremendous corruption that you see in these Democrat cities, these old Democrat cities, a lot of it comes from New York and Chicago. They're imitating New York and Chicago. We have to take a lot of the responsibility for creating it. Chicago is, I don't know, you can't say more crooked than New York or less. You can only be so crooked. You got to pay for everything. They shake you down all the time. The judges are appointed by the politicians and do what the politicians want. And notice the cheating on the election all took place in the crooked cities. You know, they cheated in Philadelphia. They cheated in Pittsburgh. They cheated in Detroit. They cheated in Atlanta. Boy, that's crooked as hell. But New York, this was predicted by one of the people that knows Adams. That prediction was he wouldn't make it through 4 years, not because of health, but because he had a reputation as borough president that the press never bothered to look at. Like they're not looking at Walz possibly being a Chinese operative. And then America will pay. Not only that, when they don't do this, this is very serious. Sometimes we pay in lives. With Biden, we paid in lives, didn't we? 13 family members make that point of the people who died in Afghanistan, who he disrespects and makes their pain worse, as does Harris, with her political ploy, stupid, childish political ploy of trying to accuse Trump of politicizing it when he was invited there. And they're the ones who were politicized. And they should have been there in the first place. So we've got elections here, not just for president, but for the House and the Senate. And I'm going to tell you how important they are. I was talking on my other show to my friend Tony Shaver, who I think has also been on this show and will be, of course. And one of the things that we both pointed out, because he's worked in government and I have, is that the election of Trump is I don't know how to use a word stronger than critical, necessary. Of all the dead people that vote Democrat, the ones that would vote Republican are our founding fathers. Our founding fathers would vote Republican no matter how the Democrats try to change their vote, because it's the only party right now standing up for America. They're working for somebody else, Iran, China. Some of them are getting paid to work for China, like the Bidens, and nobody cares. The evidence was there on the hard drive. And instead of looking at the evidence, they wanted to put me in jail. Now, there's every reason to be suspicious that Walz is a plant. Now, let's talk about what he did with COVID. He had $250 million to Minnesota, and it went to help the people with COVID. And he was in charge of it, and took personal interest in it, and was personally involved in it. Okay. After a very short period of time, it was noticed by the people, I guess, in Washington, that the money wasn't being used for the people with COVID. Some people were building luxury houses with it. Some people were going on vacation with it. Some people were using it to buy real estate in foreign countries. This is an investigation. A lot of it was done during the Biden period. They probably didn't know they're going to make him a VP candidate, or they would have fixed it like they do everything else, right? But it didn't occur to them that this guy would be a candidate. So then he was warned to take a better look at this thing and rein it in. And how about we start using it for COVID? And according to the audit, it got worse after he was warned. And then all of a sudden, some of the Biden people got involved, and the investigation is now stagnant. But it is listed by the federal government as the biggest alleged fraud in any state with regard to COVID. And the government had knowledge of it. Another reason why he should step down. How about the fact that he was a teacher, or was he a communist groomer rather than a teacher or coach? It wasn't a coach. He was a defensive coordinator. Who knows how much propaganda he was slipping in there, or when he was for 10 years in charge of the gay club. Who knows how much propaganda he was working in for those kids. I just don't think we should have somebody teaching in our public schools who goes to China every year to teach. But of course, that wouldn't disturb Randy Weingarten or the teachers union, because they were founded by the communists. And she's a communist. She's a communist. De Blasio, former mayor of my city, was a communist. His mother was a communist. He went to Cuba on his honeymoon. He worked for the Sandinistas against our nation, the United States of America. And they elected him because this is a brainwashed Democrat city, which is why we hurt ourselves so much. It's same thing in Chicago. 60 years of Democratic rule every weekend. It's a killing field. Democrats haven't done a damn thing about it, white or black. And most of the kids being killed are black. So this is the chance to change it. We're gonna have Jay Furman on in a little while. Jay is running for Congress in Texas, and he has to win. He has to remove Henry Cuellar, who turns against his party on immigration, but he stays with his party on everything else that's destroying this country, including the leadership position, which means if they have the leadership, they get to cover up everything and keep this government as corrupt as it is now. You want to fix this country, want to give us a shot of being what we used to be, because this isn't a question of stopping it from being communist. In large respect, we are already. You got to vote Republican, Trump, Republican Senate, Republican House, so that we can clean it all out. And as I said, with Tony, there's a big job. Just electing Trump is not enough. It's electing Trump and then getting a job that many people think is impossible done. I did a job that people thought was impossible. You can do it. When you're going in the right direction and you've got the right ideas and you start affecting people that never want to have anything to do with government. But if you show them that you want to clean it up, you end up with the most talented government in generations. That's what I did. And that's every example of reform, of which I'm not the only one. You will see that if you are honest about the fact that you want to clean it up, you get much better people than the slugs that you get when you're just the usual, typical Democrat crooked machine that you will find in just about every city in America that's dangerous. They all go together. Crooked, murder, dangerous, and now overwhelmed by migrants. According to the New York Times and all of the liars, oh, these are all people, poor people. They want to come. They just want to. 70% of the people arrested in Times Square were migrants over the last 4 or 5 months. 60% of the people involved in crimes in Queens are estimated to be migrants. At one time, they were ordered not to list that people are migrants. And of course, the New York City Police Department is not allowed to turn them in as migrants, which I think is a violation of federal law. So these have to be estimates that are done by the police who are fed up. But they're ordered not to turn this over. If they could have a migrant and who's come over 5 times, they can't turn them over to immigration. So then what happens in New York, which is, as communist as the country maybe they came from, one of the crooked Democrat judges lets them out based on the Cuomo bail law, which the left-wing crazy Democrats have never changed. So you want to get a picture of it. There are about 7 to 10,000 criminals walking the street, dangerous ones that wouldn't be if I were mayor. And that's why the city is in the horrible condition that it's in. Add to it the Adams, Biden, Harris produced invitees, of which we're talking somewhere between 70 and 200,000. And the crimes they commit, 60% in Queens. Wow. And by the way, Denver, per capita, has a higher illegal alien problem than we do. Not confined to New York. And Aurora, a little city outside, being taken over by them, except Governor Feliz Navidad doesn't recognize it. He says it's not happening. People are lying because he invited them all here and he gives them money. Just like Adam, they give him money. And they're inviting criminals here. Maduro's looking at them who may stay or not stay there and saying, what a bunch of horses' asses. As Trump said, if he ran one of those countries, he would empty his prisons too. What they lack at best.
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicità.
Tell me he's not a jackass. People of Aurora are lying about being the victim of crime, Feliz Navidad. And they consider him one of their better governors. He's a moderate. I'm ready to faint. We'll be right back. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. Sean is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Well, welcome back to America's Mayor Live, where when I listening to that commercial, that ad, which to me is a lot more than a commercial for T2T, please be part of it. Our military doesn't get the best of it under this alien administration, and they need all the moral support they can get. And this is a lot more than moral support, but also that. T2T, Tunnel to Towers, has become really, really very proficient at building these homes and taking care of these families. And these testimonials that you hear are very, very heartfelt, and you could do a lot more of them. I mean, I know the organization from the beginning and the changes it's gone through and the way it's grown. And this is one of the positive things that has happened in America. And I also feel very strongly it's one of the positive things that came out of one of the worst events in our history, the attack on the World Trade Center and the other places on September 11, which Democrats believe were not particularly significant, or some of them do. And some of them believe that January 6th was worse, even though the only people who died were the Trump people. It was filled with lies, infiltration by the FBI. There's so much we have to fix. One of the things we have to remember is we have to fix our soldiers and sailors who are hurt at defending our freedom or die. And T2T is there when that happens, with money, mortgage on the home, and building a new home if it's necessary, and giving people a place to live who are seriously paralyzed or paraplegic, and making it possible for them to have the maximum amount of independence. Just want to make sure that you don't just put it off. And I mean, you hear about T2T quite a bit, and sometimes this is probably one of the most important things you can do. And at a time in which, as I said, the morale is, you can't imagine what it's like. And we're getting bombed in the Red Sea or near the Red Sea, and then in Syria and in our bases in Iraq by Iran's proxies, and we aren't doing a damn thing about it, because Biden's never going to hit Iran. He's more loyal to Iran than he is to the U.S. We're the biggest financier of Iran. We put them back as a major power. Biden did. There wouldn't be a major power if we hadn't been defrauded. So the other thing that is very troubling and more serious than I think we posit, similar to the Chinese infiltration, which is at a critical point now, particularly with Walz up there as a candidate, is anti-Semitism. I've been reading and looking at documentaries, and I urge you to do the same, about Hitler and about Nazi Germany in the 20s and 30s, when Hitler arose, fought in the First World War, got imprisoned originally, spent his time in prison, wrote Mein Kampf, developed his hatred of the Jews. It's hard to say what actually happened. It's hard to measure hatred. I mean, in his case, it's over the top, given the number of people he killed. But he actually Hitler killed Jews for political reasons. And then it got out of hand. It was a good political issue to make him popular and powerful. So when the people in Germany say, "Oh, most of us didn't know about it," that's probably true. You'd probably have to expand that a little bit. Probably a lot more didn't want to know about it, that it would not be in a totally innocent category. But here's the part that most of them hated Jews, or most of them liked the politics of hating Jews, which is why Hitler was so popular. He didn't use that because it was unpopular. He used it because it helped him. If he had started using his hatred of Jews and wasn't working, he'd have done something else. So when we see this anti-Semitism growing in the United States, in places you never thought you would see it, like New York, it's frightening that we're, in some ways, repeating history. And when we see a party, the Democrat Party, that was a party that had extraordinary Jewish loyalty, and the vast majority of Jewish people were Democrats, and loyal Democrats, and contributing Democrats. And the party has divided into two groups, both of which end up being Jew hating, including the Jews in the party. It's the group that is actively anti-Semitic and wants to call for the annihilation of the state of Israel. Now, that group is right out front and are making statements all the time. And then there's the group that keeps its mouth shut about it, which makes the entire party anti-Semitic. What about Chuck Schumer? What the hell has he said about the squad? Huh? His contribution was to interfere in the politics of a foreign country and say that Bibi Netanyahu, who is trying his damnedest to save his people, should step down. So somebody could take over who will cave in to Hamas, which is what a ceasefire amounts to, caving in to Hamas. Bibi's goal is to destroy them. If I live there, my goal would be to destroy them. Why? Because they want to destroy me. What am I, a fool? Or a lapdog communist? Or a person who turns on his own people? Some kind of a sniveling rat who turns on his own people? There is no doubt in the world that Palestinians are taught in their schools with textbooks that we paid for through the United Nations that Israel is evil, that Jews are evil, that America is the big devil, and Americans are evil, and they should be killed. You want to make them an independent state. You, Democrats. The only policy thing she got out in that ridiculous infomercial she did with Dana Trump bash was a two-state solution. Now, she may not know which two states. After all, she did fail the bar exam. And but a two-state solution. Somebody today did a good job of explaining how that it's totally impractical. Take a country. A country like Vietnam, and somebody is going to take over Cambodia, and they want a state there. They have a big revolution in Cambodia, and they want to take over Cambodia, and their major purpose in life is to eliminate Vietnam. Do you think you could have a two-state solution with Vietnam and that new government that wanted to destroy Vietnam? Well, of course you could. First of all, no sane government would agree to it. And secondly, the war would start the next day. The two-state solution has been, at best, ignorant and foolish and silly from the day it was invented by Jim Baker or Bill Clinton or who the hell else was Kissinger in favor of it? I don't remember. Forget how smart they are. If you're smart and you can analyze and you can use reason, even smart people, particularly when they become arrogant as hell, can be dumb as ooh. But just, I want you to think about that. The day the two-state solution was announced, which is what, 3 decades ago, little assistant U.S. attorney or United States attorney Giuliani, where the hell I was, I said to myself, oh, I was a lawyer in private practice, thinking about running for mayor for a second time. I listened to that and I said, they got to be crazy. They got to be a two-state solution with a state that's a terrorist state that wants to kill Jews and Americans. How about we approach it this way? First, we fix them. First, we do when the EU first started and NATO and all, they would require countries to fix themselves before they join. And they'd give them a whole program to follow. It's one of the reasons why Italy had to cut down the mafia and wipe them out. And they did. I worked on that very intensively. They should have been given a list of things they had to accomplish if they wanted to be recognized as a state. And of course, top on the list had to be eliminating terrorism. Second had to be eliminating corruption. Well, that's all they are now, terrorist and corrupt. So Hamas is terrorist, guided now by Iran. They really dominate. And Fatah, which used to be the Palestinian, well, it used to be the Palestinian army, right? Fatah now is completely crooked. If you think New York City is crooked, Palestine is completely crooked. You know it's crooked because it's gotten so much money and it hasn't improved. So the two-state solution tells you they don't want to solve the problem, and it's not going to work. And you can espouse it forever as long as there's a state of Israel. There won't be a two-state solution because as soon as there is, there won't be a state of Israel because their goal is to wipe it out. Hunter Biden pled guilty today. Fix. Talking about crooked. Fix. He pled guilty to basically speeding tickets. Here's a guy that brought in 21 to 31 million from China to his pop and has on record announced an admission against himself saying that he gave half of his salary for 35 years to his father. And nobody examines that. And everyone says Biden didn't get any money, except there's no evidence that Biden got money except his son having put it in writing. Nobody questions about that. Nobody questions about being the partner of the spy chief of China and the chief groomer and making money from them. Nobody questions him about documents sent to China that look an awful lot like stolen national security documents that Pop may have stolen when he was a senator because he had no right to take them. His taking of them alone constitutes theft. The serious violations in what he did with that material make what Trump did look like nothing. But of course, we don't have a fair and equal system of justice. We have a two-tier system of justice, which means we have no justice at all. So Hunter's going to get put off until December, and now they'll finally do the fix. They wanted to do a year and a half ago, and he screwed up. And he's trying to enter a plea called an Alford plea. The Alford plea is a federal invention, although states use it now also. It comes from a case either U.S. v. Alford or Alford versus the United States. And you can plead guilty, but not admit the crime if the prosecutor and the judge allow you to do that. I rarely, if ever, approved it. It would have to have been a case with very extenuating circumstances, sympathetic circumstances, not political fixes like this. If he's allowed an Alford plea, there should be an investigation of all the people involved in it for corruption, including the judge. This is like a watered down nothing of what he did. The major tax evasion would have had to do with Ukraine, China, Romania, Russia. They're all left out. You say, why? Because every one of them goes back to Joe Biden. Because every one of them connects to something they know they've done a good job of hiding from you, but I'm going to remind you of this until the day I die. There is a text in the language of Hunter Biden saying that for 30 years he pumped half his income to his dad. That would have included the money from Red China. In fact, he wrote that around the time he was pumping the money from Red China to his father. None of that has been really exposed. None of that has really been talked about. None of it's been charged. The prosecutors have, because they're crooked, have overlooked it. And remember, this prosecutor is the guy who wanted to let him off the hook a year and a half ago, and an honest judge refused to do it. This judge can have big problems if the judge takes the Alford plea without an admission of guilt. The judge can say, if you don't admit guilt, you go to trial. They bring it down to the least significant tax charges they could bring. Admittedly, tax charges that probably would be civil. The only reason that they should be pursued is because if tax charges, the guy is guilty of bribery, the guy's guilty of extortion, the guy's guilty of treason. That's it. And he's going to not even plead guilty to it. He's going to do this Alford plea, which is, for all intents and purposes, in order to sentence me, I plead guilty, but I don't admit that I did anything wrong. That's not a fix. Of course, they're hoping that Kamala is there, and anything goes wrong, she can always do the pardon, and if necessary, Joe says he's not going to pardon, but when has he ever told the truth? This is the guy who graduated first in his class. Remember, what was he, second to last? Do you think he'll pardon his son? Ted?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, no question, right?
Well, he said he's not.
He said, yeah, Joe Biden.
Doesn't
When's the last time you?
doesn't the Biden word mean something?
Yeah,
No.
that's the famous line, right? You got my.
I remember at some point I forgot what he was lying about, but he
My
said,
word is a Biden, as if that. Yeah, that just
you're obviously lying. You're obviously lying.
Yeah.
Your words of Biden didn't mean anything.
I already didn't trust you.
Way back in 1988, we figured out you're a mentally ill, pathological liar. My goodness, even the liberal reporters of the day knew that.
Those are one of his two electrolyte
Dana Trump
salesman stuff.
obviously doesn't have that integrity.
Many of them.
So what's
Easy. I wanted to get your reaction. Let's see here. I want to get your.
so
Go ahead.
what's Cackling doing?
Well, cackling's up to no good per usual, but I wanted to get your response to this.
No, but is she campaigning today? I haven't seen any. Trump had a very nice, like a town hall meeting today, where he did a very good explanation of his economic policies. Cackling was still on the multiple choice version of her Is she going to? Is she go?
Well, what we can tell
She's
you.
going to tax unrealized capital gains, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know how crazy that is. So you have stock, right?
Explain that to
You have
us
stock.
non-finance.
Let's say you have 100 shares of I don't know X stock.
X, yeah.
Okay.
Hacker stock.
Okay, and it goes up and it's worth $30 a share. Okay, when you buy it. Now it's the end of the year. My goodness, you had a great year. It's now worth $40 a share. You're going to have to, but you don't sell it.
Are they taxing you anyway?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. People are going to stop trading in the stock market. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, the amount of paperwork involved in that and the accounting work involved in that is astronomical.
Absolutely.
Astronomical. The amount of cheating that'll go on is even more astronomical. It is completely unfair. What? It's an investment. It's like saying I start a business, and my business when I start, and it's so hard to evaluate businesses, right? I mean, okay, well, let's say my business is worth $100,000. Then I have a really good year, and at the end of the year, it's worth $1 million. So I got to pay $900,000. I got to pay taxes on $900,000.
And
Something like 40%. How my business ever going to grow?
and what happens
I'll
if
become a state-owned? Oh, is that why they want to do it?
What happens if they hold the stock and then in the following year the damn thing tanks? Now, not only
They haven't figured out.
Yeah.
They haven't figured out if you pay on the gain, do you get, if it goes down, do you get to deduct it? That hasn't been figured out yet.
knowing them, probably not.
Right. But then you got to hope the companies fail. You got to be rooting for companies to fail.
Yeah.
I mean, it is completely socialistic, completely communistic. Only thing worse is her price fixing. Now, her price fixing, where she's going to set prices, was originally everything. But then she said, oh, I got to narrow this. Let's make it groceries. And by the way, they do price gouging. All these companies do price gouging. Therefore,
According to her.
Now, she found out that groceries have the biggest impact on the poor by far, because you can have inflation that has very little impact on the poor, and you can have inflation that has a lot of impact on it. Let's say the price of luxury vehicles goes up. Well, the poor are not going to be affected because they don't buy it.
Right.
The rich are going to be affected. But let's say the price of groceries goes up. The poor are disproportionately because they have to eat. And they have a much more limited income from which to take out the percentage they need for their food than a rich person.
It's a double whammy for them.
The inflation in food has been around 35% under the communist Biden.
No doubt about it.
So people have been whacked really hard. Some items are like 80%. We're just whacked really hard. So now she wants to do price controls on it because the grocery companies are gouging. You know what the margin of profit is for grocery companies? 2%.
Even they can't make
Among all the companies that gouge, among all the industries that gouge, she picked the one that does the least. In other words, there's no margin for them to absorb anything. And a lot of them, by the way, they're not all Republicans. These are all kinds of groceries, big ones and little ones. They're saying we have to pass along the inflation because then we have our 2% profit becomes a 2% loss and we can't operate. So if everything that we have to buy goes up 5%, unless we increase your price by 5%, we lose our 1% to 2% profit, which is how we pay our employees.
Right.
And you don't have grocery stores anymore.
They'd like that, wouldn't they?
Sure. Then the government would run the grocery stores like they do in Venezuela, like they do in China, and like they did in Soviet Russia.
Americans better wake up.
And then everybody starved.
They better wake up. If they don't think their country's...
This is all communism. Please. This is not... She would never have these theories. She's too stupid. She failed the bar exam. She's too stupid. I keep telling you that because they don't tell you that. I would rather tell you some of the other ways she got ahead, but I'm not allowed to. Then it would be in bad taste. But, you know, maybe when your country's at stake. Well, in any event, she's not worthy of being president. She's so far off the mark It's actually laughable that she's running, which is why she cackles all the time. You know why she cackles all the time and why she has to take notes to a debate and why she can only do an interview that's pre-recorded and they put half of it on the cutting room floor.
Earphone on the way to the plane.
Yeah, and she says absolutely stupid things. She's really dumb. There's no question about it. Trump is right about that. As I said, she failed the bar exam. I'd love to say that. However, she's also very insecure. She's probably not as dumb as she thinks she is. She's really insecure. So just what we need to negotiate with Xi Jinping, somebody who's insecure. I mean, look at what they did with Biden. Biden gets a peaceful world, and he's turning over to Trump a world with two wars, two major wars, two wars that he has no solution for. She was asked, "What's her solution for the war in Israel?" We'll make a deal. Well, yeah, but what's the solution? Well, the solution is that a deal has to be made. But how? Well, by making a deal. Dana Trump Ash could not get her beyond make a deal. Well, yeah, well, every time you settle anything, you make a deal, jerko. Like, what are you going to do? And then she said, two-state solution. Okay, yeah, you're going to get Israel to accept the fact that after all this, they're going to allow a country to be put on their border that wants to eliminate them, because Hamas has said they're not going to give that up. And that's in their view, that's a religious principle. I mean, you say your values are the same, but you don't understand it because you have no values. You have none. You switch your position so often, it takes like an electronic scoreboard to keep track of them. I don't know what your position on fracking is. I know what you're going to do when you get in office. You're going to ban fracking like Biden did. I know you're going to do that. You're going to lie about it 4 times on the way there. I'm not even sure you know what fracking is. You probably think it's, I don't know, some kind of whistling or singing or. You think she knows what fracking is?
Maybe thinking fracking is cackling.
Cackling.
Maybe she thinks it's cackling.
Yeah, it's like cackling. It's a certain kind of cackling.
Yeah.
And she's going to ban it because it isn't like her kind of cackling. Or she's going to accept it because it is like her cackling. You can tell we think she's very stupid.
Well, Mayor, we have this.
How about profoundly stupid?
Let's get your reaction to this little nugget from Governor Tim Walz. This is Tim Walz's, we'll call it his immigration policy. This is him.
Tampon Tim?
Tampon Tim in 2018.
Oh.
Just am waiting to find out how high that wall is, because then if it's 30 foot tall, you can go invest in the 35-foot ladder. There's money to be made here, so.
We're going to play it again so the mayor can hear.
Now, was that in China or in America?
That video took place in America, but we're going to play it again so our mayor.
We got to get videos of him doing Chinese propaganda. The kid.
Just am waiting to find out how high that wall is, because then if it's 30 foot tall, you can go invest in the 35-foot ladder. There's money to be made here, so. Just am waiting to find out how high that wall is, because then if it's 30 foot tall, you can go invest in the 35-foot ladder. There's money to be made here, so.
He followed through on that. I mean, they're overloaded in Minneapolis with all their other problems with illegal criminals, alien criminals. They got,
And we'll put you on.
Venezuela emptied a lot of its jails to Tampon Tim.
Okay.
As well as the clown in Colorado. I mean, his people are being killed because of that policy.
And in just a minute, Mayor, we'll have.
But now, doesn't Tampon Tim know that the head of his ticket is now in favor of a wall?
Yeah, is
he going to build one higher than cackling Kamala's?
So yeah, that's the thing. Right now, he's going to have to get a ladder that's a little bit higher than Kamala's wall. But can you imagine the kind of wall she's gonna? If you ask Kamala, hey, design a wall for us, I'm not sure. As simple as
that goes back about 3 or 4 years. Why didn't Dana Trump ask her? Do you agree with you're in favor of a wall, but listen to Tampon. He says He's against it. Is she in favor of tampons in men's rooms, Kamala?
Well, implicitly, she must be, right? I mean,
That's one of the things he's best known for. It's the only achievement, I think. All the rest of the things were negative.
yeah, we landed
If you
on,
consider that an achievement.
it's, yeah.
The tampon companies probably love it. I mean, they get
Tim
extra,
Walz,
they get
man,
extra distribution to men. I mean, a lot of these guys probably don't even know what the hell it is. They get it and they sneeze in it or something.
I figured it out. Tim Walz,
They think it's for heavy sneezing.
as a Midwesterner, I can say this. He is what I think these liberal, coastal
Jerk-offs?
political jerk-offs, who they think would appeal to the Midwest, right? A fake, this phony guy who like swings his arms in a weird. The guy is not
doesn't like
normal.
somebody that's been in China 30 times.
Exactly.
Working for the Red Chinese.
But this is what they don't get, right. They must think, oh no, they'll find that as cultured. These Midwesterners will think of that as making him cultured.
It's a very aggressive country. It's
Yeah.
killed 100
Yeah.
million of
Or they don't see the issue because to them, communist China. So yeah, we're the Democrat Party. We're modeling ourselves off the communist party.
by
Yeah, yeah.
communists.
It's a big deal here.
Infiltrated by communists since Wilson. Yeah, we gave up North Korea because we're
You're more likely to find a Chinese flag outside our.
There's the only reason there's Taiwan is because there are communists in our government.
He must really like China to go there 30 times. He must have really enjoyed himself. You don't repeatedly go somewhere.
He said it was
really
his best vacation ever. I mean, don't you want to ask where else he went on vacation?
Yeah.
Somebody should do a forensics on.
That's your best thing. I thought, yeah.
Somebody should find out what those kids are up to that he told.
I'm
I'd
all-
like to know. They're probably
Why
in.
don't we do a panel?
Let's see what he was teaching.
Why don't we do a panel with him, Bernie Sanders, and de Blasio, and say which is better for a honeymoon, Cuba, Russia, or China?
Cuba depends when.
Now,
Yeah.
what is starving? In fact, they're at a peak of starvation right now.
Russia.
Nobody's helping them.
What was it like 200 years ago?
Russia doesn't give a damn any longer about them.
China. Yeah. And then China.
China has made deals with better, more productive South American countries, which is tragic for us. I mean, we can talk about how they're infiltrating from the South if you want, and we'll do a map on it. But I mean, they're making big inroads in South America, which Russia never was able to do, and we never allowed them to because we used to have presidents. Now we have a Chinese operative in the White House, and we got one on the way to the vice presidency with a president that, although she doesn't have dementia, probably has less brains than Biden.
That's right. And Mayor, so how about we go to a quick break? And when we come back with all this immigration talk, we have a great guest. We've had him before. He's running for Congress against Henry Quayle.
Sure.
On the border issue. But let's take a quick break and we'll come back.
And on the other side, we'll be talking to Jay Furman, who's running for Congress in the great state of Texas, which is, of course, at the point of the spear.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
And welcome back to America's Mayor Live. We're going to bring on our next, there it is. We have the map of Texas behind us. We have a special guest, Commander Jay Furman. He's the Republican nominee. There we go. He's a there we go. We can zoom out a little bit. There's we have the Republican nominee for Congress. He's running against Henry Cuellar. We've got him here on the screen.
Hello, Jay. How are you?
There we go.
So tell us, first of all, how's the campaign going?
Can you hear him on there? No. Okay, he's not coming through. It's on his end there. He's muted.
All right, so what are we gonna do about it?
We have to cut him off. All right, just start talking. So we'll bring him back on once he's once we're able to get audio from him, Mayor.
Once we have it directly,
Yeah.
so I
So
have
that's
this
yeah. Bring up that map there.
I got a silly map here that I wanted to show you, but his district is, where did you say?
The 28th district,
Which is where?
which is South Texas, so San Antonio and south.
Oh, south of San Antonio.
Yeah, down
Headed toward
Laredo.
the
Yeah.
headed toward the border. Is
Yep,
that it?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, headed toward the border.
So we're gonna try to get him to fix those audio issues on his, and then we'll bring him back on here. So I'm gonna connect with him offline here.
So there's San Antonio. See, there it is, right there. See San Antonio, boys and girls,
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
So he's
South of there.
south of that.
Yep, right there. Yeah, you kind of got his district right there. Yeah,
You got his district.
down to Laredo and yeah. There we go. Let's connect here.
So here's San Antonio, and this down to the border. There's the border down to Brownsville. See?
Yeah,
So that would be his district is in here. Right?
that's right. Yep. So hopefully we can get him back on here. We'll keep trying. But until then,
And you know some of the famous just from being like Eagle Pass, some of the famous Del Rio, some of the really famous places where El Paso all the way up here. These are the places that were overwhelmed with illegal migrants until Governor Abbott did the really brilliant. Well, first of all, he and DeSantis shipping them up to the left-wing crooked cities, and also to Martha's Vineyard, the hypocritical liberal bastion, was brilliant because he made it what it is, a national problem. This was being all absorbed by Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and Southern California, and Florida to some extent, because they would let people move over to Florida. And the two coastal, Mississippi, Alabama, put them in there too. But I mean, basically, everybody else could be very, let them in. I mean, what the heck? A couple of rapes a year, well, it doesn't bother us. Now it's a couple of rapes a day. We're talking about a major crime wave, and we could be talking about 10 million people. More. We could be talking about more. Now, how many are criminal? I don't know. You know what the percentage of crime in Queens, the police say, NYPD? What did I put up there? 60%. Thank you, Queen says. Thank you, President Biden. We voted for you. Thank you, Cackling Kamala. We voted for you too. And thank you, Mayor Adams. We voted for you. And you give them credit cards. You don't give us credit cards, but you give them credit cards. This is crazy. This is trying to destroy your country on purpose.
On purpose.
On purpose. You just let people come in. Let them come in. Just let them come in all over. I mean, it's just crazy. It's like you want to destroy you want to destroy us. But what did I tell you it comes from? Rob, where does it come from? What is this based on? It comes from Marxism. That's exactly what they want to do. They want to destroy. They want to destroy us. Are we having trouble getting him through? Getting him on?
Let's see. Hey, Commander Furman, can you hear me? Okay, so we're not able to hear you.
I got you loud and clear.
Oh, we got you now. Okay, Mayor. So I'm going to hand it to you, Mayor. We got him on right now. So we have Commander Furman, and he can kind of talk to you a little bit, Mayor, about these issues that we're talking about right now as someone running for office in a border district.
Commander, you're running against Cuellar, right?
Yes, sir, I am. That's right.
Now, Cuellar is on television criticizing Biden. Well, not now, but he was, on and off. But then he votes with him and everything else, right?
He does. He's a 95% Biden, Harris, Pelosi voter. That's an actual statistic. It's 95.6, actually, the 2022 cycle. He's as radical as they come doing the main job of a congressman, that's voting. But he has put a lot of money and time into crafting an image that he's the Republicans' Democrat, or he's moderate and soft, but he's anything but. He's actually sitting on top of the fence, letting people into this country because he's profiting on it. And that's part of what he's indicted for.
And how is the situation now? Abbott has done a lot, through no fault of the administration, to control it somewhat. But how is the situation? Do you go straight down? You go straight down to the border to Brownsville?
I do. I see your map there, Mayor. So I like to say my district begins with the Alamo. So we grab the Alamo. We have 1/4 of San Antonio. And we're 9 counties in total. We're actually the second longest Southwest border district. But more than that, we're the most dangerous district historically, the most guns, the most money, the most drugs come through this district. And so the Laredo sector and this part of the Rio Grande Valley have been intractable. And Congressman Cuellar has been there for 20 years, and it's only gotten worse. The only thing that's really an uptick is law enforcement, NGOs, and the cartel. They're making mad money right now, and we're actually empowering the most dangerous criminal enterprise in the history of man. That's the Mexican cartels. As far as how it's going right now, so finally, the Biden administration is engaged on the issue because it's an election year. It's like election year construction. So the rumors are that they have employed the Mexican army and cut a deal with Mexico City to do a blocking maneuver south. And so it's stemmed the flow to some degree. Governor Abbott is still holding ground at Eagle Pass, and many people are flowing around Texas because Texas is getting tough on illegal immigrants right now because enforcement works, and they're moving into New Mexico.
This will all end the day after the election if God is not good to us and they win, right?
It is. Mayor, as important as the border is, we have to secure it, go back to, pretty much the Trump era rules with some modification now. But we need to start looking inward. Quit looking at the border. That needs to be done. But the enemy is already among us. There's already an insurgency placed. This 20+ million people that Biden has let in since January 2021, there's been a wolves in sheep's clothing, Trojan horse attack that's been foisted in the heart of our country. 1 to 2 million criminal or terrorist affiliated people, according to the brief given to the National Sheriff's Association. These people act as a fuse to a human bomb. And here's my main message and why I'm running, Mayor. Weaponized mass migration. That's a technical term for this that we push back against the UN refugee and migration laws. Weaponized mass migration is the biggest killer of modern countries, of Western civilization. It is the thing that has taken more down. My family lived through it in Europe when Putin and Erdogan pushed in the northern Iraqis and Syrians into that country, and we can see what's happening there. And they got a tiny bomb compared to what we have. It's fissured countries all over the place, and I've seen it being used as a cannonball. You just have to have a spark, like a George Floyd moment that kicks off social disorder. And then all chaos breaks loose. These people crawled up from the Darien Gap. I put any of them up against your average Walmart shopper. That's meant as the stormtrooper to this communist attack that you referred to earlier, sir.
You are
And so
100% correct. I hope people are listening to this. This is what we have in store for us. And when you said 20 million, people will. No one estimates the number of people we don't get to see. So we've got the people that we detained and then let them go. We've got the people that we call gotaways, and we make a little record of them, but they're who knows where they went. But we used to estimate, and actually this was put out by MIT, that for everyone that we locate, or everyone we identify, there's at least one that comes in that we have never identified.
Right.
So when you get to 20 million, that would actually be backed up by the MIT study. That and the worst ones are probably the ones that we never get to see. And a couple
100%.
of them have committed very serious crimes in the last couple of weeks. They're coming out of the woodwork now because usually when you catch them, you'll have a date that they came in, or now we don't know when they came in.
No, my Border Patrol friends on the, the guys the guys actually welcome them in because they don't hold the line. They're told to not. They just push them in. And the rules of engagement on the border are push them north as fast as you can via the NGOs to keep the border as clean as possible, so you don't have the Eagle Pass Haitian population under the bridge again for all the cameras to look at. But no, they're all among us now, and this is an intractable problem. And if we don't do something about it, my border is the source for everybody's problems right now. Texas is America's Alamo right now. The Alamo is my district. That's my catchphrase. It's never more true. Texas is America's Alamo. We have to stop them here, and then every American mayor has to come together and work to figure out this problem. Everywhere I've served in the world, and I've served on the worst borders, Maslow's hierarchy of needs is true. Security comes first. If the other village is coming to burn your village down, it doesn't matter what you think different from your neighbor, left or right. You only have to agree on living. We have to come together in this American moment and focus on this. As bad as the cultural attack is, it's meant to distract us. The fiscal attack is the other attack, and we're being distracted by spending ourselves in oblivion and upsetting Saudi Arabia, who sets the petrodollar, and stealing Russian assets. All these things are meant to are coming together in this November election. This is the most seminal election. We can win it in a heartbeat if we just register half the church that's not registered. If we register the second biggest group that's not registered, if we register the gun owners, or the hunters rather, just register them and they show up. And then everybody get trained to be a poll worker and stand vigilant on the thing that protects every other right that you have. Texas 28 is doing their part. I need everybody's help to do it.
So what do you think? We got a chance of upsetting the guy who's been there since Abraham Lincoln?
Yes, sir. The politicos, the real heady data scientists are now calling this a likely flip. I am a grassroots candidate, and we have a movement coming through here like we've never had before. I just need everybody participating in this because small dollar donations scare the establishment, and the establishment is the Democrats right now, and the people that are in the White House. They have to be extricated.
I find out from him so you can say it. How to get money to him? No. Get it from him.
Yeah. So CommanderFurman.com.
Thank you, Commander Furman. He's still talking, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us your info before we sign off. Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. So if you just you can go to jayfurman.com or CommanderFurman.com, and there's a giving site there. I have an app in the App Store. Everybody get involved in election integrity and download the Commander Furman app.
We'll write it down. Well, thank you, Commander Furman. We'll have you back on again throughout the fall. And I'll get that address. I have it, Mayor, from before. It's CommanderFurman.com. CommanderFurman.com.
Spell it out.
Yep, I'm gonna put it up on the screen.
I see it there now. Yeah. CommanderFurman.com. Commander Jay Furman, U.S. and retired.
CommanderFurman.com/donate.
Furman.com.
That's right. Go there, learn more about it.
What?
Well, it should be /donate, but that'll takes you to a different place. But go there and it'll pop up as soon as you go there.
So if you hit
CommanderFurman.com, in the upper right corner.
Let's do it.
We're going to go there right now.
Commander
Furman, FURMAN.com.
CommanderFurman.com. There you are.
That's him. There he is. There's the commander.
There it is, right there.
I'd vote for that guy.
CommanderFurman.com.
I'd vote
pretty
for
good,
him.
right?
Yeah. And right there in the upper
There,
right-hand
right
corner.
there, you
Yep.
just do it. Contribute,
So
and you will, and we'll keep Commander Furman up there for a while.
yeah.
And he obviously is the real thing, whereas Cuellar is not the real thing.
That's right.
Cuellar is just what you don't want in politics. I'm a Democrat, but I really vote. But I'm really a Republican. But I'm really a Democrat. But I'm really a Republican. What you really are is a dish rag. At best, a dish rag. How can you support the party that's ruining your state and letting all these people come in and ruining your country? It's the leadership of the party that's doing it. You know, the most important vote that Cuellar or Furman casts is for speaker. You really want Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House?
Mhm.
He comes from New York. I know him. You're going, I mean,
Like having de Blasio.
yeah, it's like having de Blasio. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. You have no idea what you're getting. You have no idea. Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House. Oh, well. Well, the point that I wanted to make as we close, because I didn't get a chance to make it, is the spreading of anti-Semitism, which does remind you of Germany in the 1930s. So just yesterday, we had a repeat of our protests at Columbia. They're back again, and they're being coddled again, and nothing effective is being done about their anti-Jewish hatred. And I mean, first of all, it was hard for the students to get into this school, which meant they should have been moved to a place where they don't interfere with the people going in. After all, pro-life protesters, if God forbid they interfere with somebody wanting to go kill a child, go to jail. But these people interfere with students wanting to go to school and learn. Don't. And when they do go to jail, they're all set free. They all were set free, by the way, from last year. So no deterrence at all. They picked on it. They also now have moved to CUNY City College, where they're doing a protest. And they also caught a group of Jewish students at a deli in Midtown and conducted an hate Jews protest. Vicious, horrible, awful. We have any videos of that, Ted?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we'll pull that up here. As you keep talking, we'll pull it up.
There's also another congressional race, and we'll have him on too, Mike Lawler. I think we've had Mike on before. But Mike is running against a former member of Congress named Mondaire Jones. And when he was in Congress before, he voted against funding for the Iron Dome, and he voted against funding for David Sling. They probably together have saved about 1,000 Jewish lives. Had he had his way, those Jews would have been killed. And now he's claiming he supports Israel. He supports Israel the way Harris supports Israel, in the backside. You don't vote against the Iron Dome. What the heck could possibly be wrong with defending yourself against missiles, except you want Jewish people killed? Mondaire Jones voted against the Iron Dome funding, and he voted against the David Sling funding, which means he wanted the missiles to get through and kill Jewish people. And now he's trying to defeat Mike Lawler, who is 100% pro-Israel and is an honest man. Pro-Israel means pro-Israel, not I'm pro-Israel, but I'd like to see Jews killed, like Harris and this guy, Mondaire Jones. Al-Jabari is ministering to a Jewish person. He slashes him with the blade. I want to F you, you effing Jew, he said. Mr. Shushkova said to him, please stop, please stop. He said, no, I have to finish. After I'll go. I have a right as a Muslim to punish Jews. Now, it isn't. It is in the Quran. Thank God he didn't hit me in the face, because he tried to hit me in different locations. He tried to hit me in different locations, but I was able to stop him eventually with my hands. He needed 30 stitches. This was in Yonkers, New York, which is right above the city of New York. And finally, the oversight board of Meta, that's Zuckerberg's operation, right? Zuckerberg's the government censor who admitted to government censorship of the hard drive to defraud people and to conduct election fraud, right? The Zuckerboxes, which were all put in Democratic areas, and other election fraud. In the election where they said that I was lying about election fraud, well, I was telling the truth about Zuckerboxes, and I was telling the truth about the hard drive, which of course was censored and therefore led to the election of Biden fraudulently. Well, Meta, his organization, which wants to be good now, that has a 21-member board, they've decided that from the river to the sea is not hate speech, and therefore it can be said anytime that the people who want to kill Jews want to say it. And their board contains at least 4 very, very over-the-top advocates for the terrorists. Tawakkol Karman, a Yemen activist, Alan Rusbridger, whose reaction to October 7, he's editor of The Guardian, which is could be left of Tampon Tim. Alan Rusbridger says the horrors of October 7 most certainly did not happen in a vacuum. So the Jews are responsible for getting killed. Nihat Dad, who has called for, who has said that basically the Palestinians are victimized people and are being occupied by Israel. Of course, Israel left Gaza in 2005. And Endi Bayuni is a champion of a full and free Palestine with whatever policy they want, including the elimination of the Jewish people and membership in the UN. And I guess lots of money so that they can all live like billionaires in the south of France while the Palestinian people die. Well, this is the group that voted that it's okay to say, send them from the river to the sea, which clearly means, and usually what they are not pointing out is when they say that, they also say death to the Jews, death to Israel, death to America. They don't make it. And if you ask them, they're quite open about what it means, because they're activists. It means eliminate the Jewish people.
That's what they're being taught in the university.
That's what they're being taught in the universities. That's what they're being taught in grammar school with the UN books. Hard to believe, right? So we have a guy sliced by a pro-Palestinian barber, a Jew sliced by a pro-Palestinian barber. We have a group of Jewish students attacked in Midtown Manhattan. We have protests at CUNY and Columbia trying to keep Jewish students out of the school, with vicious and horrible things being said about the Jews in a city that's the second biggest or biggest Jewish city in the world, New York, and proud of it. Very proud of it. This mayor was. I'm going to tell you without any doubt. See that? Adams, a piece of crap, doesn't happen under me. That doesn't happen. You can ask anybody, and you know it yourself, because you endorsed me when I ran in '97, and you double-crossed Dinkins.
Well, speaking of Eric Adams, Mayor, but we can't go without.
This whole administration got reminds me of when I went after Koch.
FBI raided top officials close to
police commissioner, his deputy mayor, the two Banksies, the one they kept out of City Hall because they thought he was too crooked, and the one who took over the education and thinks it's okay to teach kids to chop themselves up.
Deputy Mayor,
the woman that runs everything for him.
Deputy Mayor Sheena White, Philip Banks, the Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, and Timothy Pearson, a mayoral advisor and former official with the New York Police Department.
Raid.
New York City Police Commissioner Edward Caban's devices were also seized.
And they say it's not related to the two other investigations of it. The one that I know something about is the money from Turkey. But this was not connected to it.
Adams denied any wrongdoing, telling Fox 5 New York on Thursday, that's today, "I have been clear that my message throughout my public life is to follow the law." He said his office will comply with whatever inquiry and whatever we have to submit.
Good. He's only got a year to go. See if he can hang out. See if the prediction was correct from my friend who said he wouldn't make it. I said, "What do you mean? Is he sick?" And he said, no, he's a crook. I didn't know that. I didn't. I really didn't. He worked under me. He was useless. I don't think he ever made an arrest. All he did was make spurious allegations of mistreatment of black police officers in order to propagate himself. Never had a law enforcement achievement that I can begin laughing. Like he wasn't really a cop. He's not really a mayor. I mean, he's lazy as all get out. He lies like crazy, promises everything, delivers nothing. He's got a city in which he complains about all the migrants that are here, and he gives them credit cards, and he gives them better lodgings than our own homeless, and better lodgings than our veterans. So this is this guy's been a tremendous disappointment and a real failure. The only defense of him is he took over a city that was run by the worst mayor in our history, Communist de Blasio. And I would say, for all his problems and everything else, de Blasio is still the worst mayor. But the city's crooked as hell. I mean, the city is up, down, Democrat, crooked. When you see a Democrat mayor, whether the mayor's crooked or not, all the creeps come out, the ones who appoint judges and the judges, and
it's crazy.
And they get to operate, even under Koch. I mean, Koch was an honest man, but he had a totally corrupt administration. It made me famous.
Tens of millions. You think that's the first time? That's what first put you on the public scene?
No.
It was not public corruption.
Was the first thing that put me on the public scene. No.
Oh,
you're talking about
this is
when I was Associate Attorney General.
Yeah. Right. You got.
But as U.S. Attorney, my first big thing was
Odell.
Well, that was an assistant U.S. Attorney. That was in the 70s.
Yeah, but that was front page New York Times.
Yeah.
I love reciting the front page of the New York Times for that.
You try to make me better than I am, but that's okay. Yeah. I appreciate it. I need it because they're trying to kill me. I mean, they're trying to destroy me.
Anyone that we
trying to
people, the real ones no.
Being fastidiously honest, because as a prosecutor and because I was taught to be. It was almost obsessive. And
the media used to criticize you for being too much of a saint.
Think about this.
Altar boy.
The FBI.
These days, truth is a 4-letter word.
Well, just think about this. The FBI got my iCloud for 3 years and could not charge me with a crime. They investigated my business for 20 years, could not charge me with a crime. They raided my house. They raided my law office. They wrote a letter to the grand jury saying there's no evidence of a crime. And then I get these two bums, Fannie Ho and the one in Arizona, and they indict me for defending Trump. I mean, I know crimes. I didn't commit any crime. I defended my client, damn it. What am I supposed to do? First of all, what I was propounding was all evidence. A lot of it were estimates, so some of it turned out to be bigger than we said, some of it less, but it was true. They stole the election. You don't want to hear it? Don't hear it. They stole the election. Biden is not legitimately the president of the United States. He is legally the president of the United States. I'm smart enough to know that, but he's an illegitimate president. The covering up of the hard drive alone is enough to make him an illegitimate president. Nothing like that's ever been done in American history.
And don't take it from the mayor, take it from Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg just admitted this damn thing.
It's unbelievable how it's coming out now. It's unbelievable.
But well, except it's
apology. Where's the damn apology? Where's the apology for calling me a Russian?
Where's the news coverage?
Of Russian pawn when 17 months later the hard drive turned out to be perfectly accurate, completely true, and not Russian at all. They are animals. They want to destroy this country and make it part of one world. They hope it'll be ruled by, a group, Klaus Schwab does, with Prince Obama, who was trained to be a communist very early. But China will push them all out of the way. They have these idiots have no idea. China is going to work with them. China will be nice to them.
They're going to steam
and the first ones they kill will be the ones that work with them. It's
That's
the way it works with communism. These people don't read.
That's right.
You think Kamala reads? Well, as I say, we always say our prayers. You have lots of things to pray for. We've got a big world to pray for. You got a lot of prayers of your own that you want to do, I'm sure, but also always add in the people of Israel until they gain the security they're entitled to, and we end this couple of thousand year hatred of the Jewish people, which is a sickness of our humanity in a way. And second, pray for the people of the United States that they have the wisdom and the common sense of their ancestors. Okay. God bless America. Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze.
We are